Most people get it all wrong when they think about making their first $1 million. But when you know the truth, then you know what target to aim at, and because of that, you're far more likely to reach that goal. Let me give you an example. Most people think that if they get into business and their business makes $1 million, they're a freaking millionaire. But that's not the case, obviously. After you take out all the expenses and the taxes and everything else, you're not left with much. In fact, I know businesses that gross $1 million, and after all is said and done, they're left with less than maybe $400,000 to their bottom line, and the owner might be able to take half of that out for himself or herself. So $1 million down to $400,000 down to $200,000 is really not that much. So grossing $1 million in your business is not the answer. And for those of you who have companies that net $1 million to you, meaning that you as the owner can take $1 million distribution from your company, you know that after all the personal expenses, because once you take that money out of your business and you put it into your personal account, you have a shitload of taxes that you have to pay on it. But after all that, you're definitely not left with $1 million. So to make your first $1 million, I'm going to suggest that you get smart so that you make a lot of money and you keep it. So I'm going to give you 3 rules for making your first $1 million, and I'm also going to give you 3 rules for keeping it, because I think that's far more important. Now, if this is the very first time that you're watching one of my videos, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because every single week I upload more videos about how to grow your business faster and far more predictably and in a way that generates far more profit to you, because that's why we're in business, right? Now, rule number 1 for making your first $1 million is to find something that you love, that you're good at. And that does not mean that you should follow your passion. I don't want to be known as the person who tells you to follow your passion, because that makes my fucking eye twitch. Because most people's passion is too freaking hard to monetize. But it's much easier to be persistent with something long enough to make a lot of money doing it if you love doing it. And we usually love what we're good at. So find something that you love that you're good at, right? And if you can't figure that out, or you want to be really creative in the way you find a solution to this, or if you already have a business and you want creative ways to scale it much, much faster, then travel more, right? Look at how businesses like yours are doing things in other countries, and look at other industries. Then look for ways to leverage what you learn from them to develop a company of your own, or to scale the company that you already have. Because many of the very best businesses and business ideas were already being done somewhere else. And somebody saw it, and they pulled that idea over to their business, and since it was brand new to their industry, they freaking flourished. Now, rule number 2 is to learn from people who have already made a lot of money doing the one thing that you want to do, right? The first thing that I ever do when I want to grow a business is to find people who are doing what I want to do, who are already successful, and I find a way to learn from them. Right? And that should be a prime focus for you. And that might mean, studying them and their company, or it might be hiring them as a coach, or it might mean taking them out to lunch and asking them if, maybe I could pick their brain, or maybe sharing information for information, which is huge, meaning that they share what I want to know with me, and I share what they want to know with them. And you don't really need to have a lot of money or special skills to do this. You could study somebody's company for free or for very little money, simply by becoming a customer of theirs and watching how they handle the sale, or how they handle onboarding a new prospect, or how they communicate with their customers. It's super important that you understand this stuff. Or you could go out there and read books and watch videos like this one by business leaders who have already made a lot of money and have a lot of success behind them already. Rule number 3 is to do everything that you can to become great at whatever you decide you're going to do to make money. Because most people, they never focus long enough to make anything great in their life. But I promise you that if you spend a year mono-focused on growing almost any company, you could scale it to a very respectable size in a pretty damn predictable way. Now, there's absolutely no secret sauce to making your first $1 million. There is absolutely no shortcut. You decide on a path, and you find somebody who's already walked that path, preferably many, many times. You learn from them, and then you bust your butt to become great on that path. That's it. And when you talk about finding somebody who's already walked that path, that can also spread out into aligning with people who are great at subsets of your business also, meaning they're great at sales, or they're great at marketing, or they're great at customer support, or they're great at management, or they're great at whatever. Because you could shortcut your success curve from 10 years down to 1 year, from 1 year down to a month by becoming a great leader of smart people. And I've made videos about how to be a better leader and how to develop a leadership team. But in short, every rock star you align with and that you add to your team can shave years off of your growth curve. And those rock stars do not have to be highly paid employees. They could be vendors or independent contractors too, who are great at what they do and who can help you become great on your path. In fact, the companies who scale the fastest from $0 to $1 million or from $1 million to $10 million have grown faster because the person at the helm has been willing to delegate certain tasks to others who are rock stars. Now, if you choose the wrong path, then making money is always going to be a struggle. Like if you love making eggs and you're the absolute best at it, but you can't find anyone who's ever made money by making eggs before, then you're forced to cut your own path, and that's extremely hard. I mean, you can still do it, but find something that you're great at that can be monetized in a big way, and you're going to be a lot happier. Now, you also need to know how to keep that money, and I'm not going to give you accounting advice or legal advice here, right? I never do that. I speak from the point of being an entrepreneur, right? From the point of having experienced what you're experiencing right now. You need to go out there and get qualified legal and accounting advice before doing anything that you learn here or pretty much anywhere else online. But I can share with you a few things that I do because I've lost a lot of money in business early on, and I learned a lot of lessons along the way, and those lessons have made me a lot more money and allowed my companies to now keep much more of what we make. And the very first lesson was that you need to set up the right kind of business with the right kind of paperwork, because the wrong kind of business, like a sole proprietorship or a general partnership, is going to be far more heavily taxed. But more importantly, if you ever get sued, you could lose everything, even your personal savings. Now, our rule of thumb is that every single entity that we begin starts with a meeting with both my attorney, who's there to protect us legally, and my CPA, who's there to protect us from a tax standpoint. Neither one has the final say, but both have protected me massively over the years. And more than likely, the people you work with are going to guide you to probably an LLP or an LLC or a corporation or an S Corp, something like that, depending on your situation. But as a person leading that meeting, right, you need to be in charge of making sure that they stay focused on protecting both you and your company, especially if you're going to be starting out like in a partnership, because if you don't have the right paperwork in place in a partnership, there's a lot that could go wrong, right? The right kind of entity and the right kind of paperwork is vital to keep the money that you make in business. But I said that I was going to give you 3 ways to keep your money. That was only one. The second one is reinvest in your growth. Because, and think about this, if a company makes $1 million this year and has no expenses, they owe taxes on that full $1 million, right? Now, obviously that never happens, but that's the scenario. Because now we have a lot of expenses that we need to account for before paying taxes, which is why you need a great accountant or accounting team. Because if you have $1 million in revenue and $500,000 in expenses, you're only paying taxes on the $500,000 that's left over, in most cases at least. And again, I'm not giving you tax advice here, but part of the game is to become smart about reinvesting in your growth, meaning that if I have $1 million left over after taxes and I could reinvest a portion of that into legitimate ways to grow my company, then I owe far less taxes, right? Like marketing. What if I took a portion of that $1 million and I invested it into buying Facebook ads, Google ads, radio ads, TV ads, something like that? The money that I spent would be subtracted from what the revenue is that came in, and it would be subtracted from that before I pay taxes. But that money, wisely spent, could turn into a lot more money next month, next year, whatever. The same could be true depending on your business, right? For consulting, if you have a big tax burden at the end of the year and you hire a great consultant, then whatever you pay them, again, this is for your accountant to have the final say on, but whatever you pay them would come out of your revenue before you calculate your taxes. But I've hired consultants who have helped me to 10x our bottom line easily. So that was well worth it for us, right? Of course it is. The third way to keep your money is, and by the way, there's a lot more than just 3 ways, but I want to give you at least 3 ways, and the 3 that I'm choosing are the 3 that I see most people missing. The third rule is to invest your money into smart places automatically. So as you grow your income, a portion of all that income automatically goes someplace that earns far more money, like a tax-deferred Roth IRA or something like that. And again, I just threw that name out there. I'm not giving you tax advice, but find things that you could automatically invest in, because the idea is you focus on what you're really good at, right? Learn how to make money doing it, protect your money, and then allow it to work for you so that it grows in value, so that you could keep focusing on what you're good at. It's a cycle in business. Everything in business is a cycle. A lot of people tell you that your first million is your hardest, but the truth is that making your first million is just like anything else in life. If you set yourself up on the right path and you're willing to work for it, you'll get there, and you'll get there quicker if you don't try to cheat the system. Now, if you're a subscriber and you've seen most of my other videos, you know that this was pretty basic compared to what I normally cover over here. But let me know in the comments what you think. And if you have any tips on how to make your first million, whether that's your first gross million or your first net million or the first million that you pocket after taxes, let me know. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell now so that you never miss a video when I put one out. Go ahead, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then click on the next video right over here.